Hi, I'm Mark and welcome to my channel, Book Ramble. This is a tag and it's all thanks to Philip at A Poet Reads to Write. Thank you, Philip. And it's gratitude and joy. There are 7 prompt questions and the tag was created by Book Chat with Pat. So here we go. The first prompt is to do with joy. And the question is, there's 2 questions. Name an author whose books bring you joy, or discuss a specific book that made you feel joyful. There's actually 2, and this is the first. There you go, Patrick O'Brian. This is the first in the canon, or the Aubreyriad, and it's about Jack Aubrey and the ship surgeon, Stephen Maturin. Wonderful, great series. In fact, the first 3 books are resplendent. And I think that Patrick O'Brian, he's credited to be the greatest author of history in terms of novels. Fantastic series. I think it was 20 books in total. The movie was a combination of certain scenes from this one and The Far Side of the World. The 2 characters which give me joy, they're chalk and cheese. So you've got Jack, who is tall, blonde, he's useless on land, fantastic, the best at sea. Whereas Maturin is small, swarthy, dark, brilliant on land, he's actually a spy, but useless at sea. And this is how they meet. Wonderful opening scene, and I can just dip in and out of the whole series and I just love it. None more so than the actual fact that the first, well, really 5 books, but certainly the first 3 really focus on food at the time, and it's just superbly written. In fact, I got this for this tag, but it's also something I wanted to do as well. I'm definitely next year, 2025, probably earlier if I get to it, going to go through the series and point out little scenes, or not so much chapters, but who knows. I'd like to do some episodes regarding the canon. Fantastic. I said there'll be 2, and this is the second. James A. Michener's Centennial. I first came across this book in the late 70s, and this was made into a brilliant TV series. Pasquinel. Oh. And it's a fantastic book. James A. Michener has given me so much joy over the years. I can't express it enough, along with Patrick O'Brian. And his books, I'm talking about James A. Michener now, he started off really writing about the Pacific, of which Tales of the South Pacific comes from one of the books. And I'm talking about the musical now. I'm going to wash that man right out of my hair. Amazing. And then he started to do these huge pieces. I think he started off with Hawaii. He did one on Poland, one called The Covenant, about South Africa, one called The Source, which is about the Holy Land, and this one about the founding of a fictitious town in the state of Colorado. And it goes through families and the history of those families, how they end up in one place, and it's wonderful. I definitely will do some episodes on him. So prompt 2 is discuss something about booktube that you find joyful. It's, well, 1, the tags, which I never thought I'd ever do, but secondly, the community. If it wasn't for the community, booktube would be a lesser beast. It's just wonderful because it's very welcoming, and I talk here with experience now. I never expected to have the return, thanks to MJ, who gave me a shout out, as she does with all newbies really, booktubers. And then very quickly got to know people who regularly come back and comment, and it's just brilliant. So that has given me joy, and I'm certainly got a lot of gratitude for everybody who steps my way, says hello, leaves a thumbs up, and subscribes. It's just wonderful. 3, discuss a book that focuses primarily on friendship. Okay, going back to what I just showed you. This. It's potentially... Am I going to be so succinct and definite? It's definitely one of possibly the best friendship in terms of novels I've ever come across. And it stretches across 20 books. It's very unusual. But it's so succinctly written, so brilliantly done, that although they are diametrically opposed characters, Jack and Stephen, they become great mates. There is jealousy between them at times. There's enmity. But their motivations, they never seemed to be forced. It seems real. I can't explain it really. You have to read it. You have to have read it to understand fully as well. So definitely Jack and Stephen. And it's not just a book, it's books. 4, discuss an author or specific book that makes you laugh. Okay, I think this is quintessentially English or later Irish. There's only ever been one book that in public, and it was on the London Underground, that when I was reading it, it made me laugh out loud with a belly laugh. And that's Cocoon by Spike Milligan. This one, Adolf Hitler, and a series of books in which he was in the war in North Africa, and it beautifully encapsulates the 99% boredom, the 1% terror that was the war for so many men and women. And after the war, Spike Milligan got involved with the likes of Peter Sellers and did The Goons, which is just madcap surreal humour, throughout the 1950s. By the time we come to the late 60s, early 70s, Spike Milligan started to do a series of comedic sketches called Q, and there's nothing like it, ever. It is absolutely surreal. And I think I'm right in saying that, according to Spike, he said there's a very thin line between genius and madness. And he did suffer, crossing over occasionally. On his gravestone, because he passed away some years ago, I think it says, "I said I was ill." But this book, it's about the boundary commission between Northern Ireland and Éire, the South, and it's just fantastic. I'm definitely going to do some episodes on that one. 5, and we're on to community. Discuss a book where the idea of community is important. Not so much community, but the state. What is the best state, and who are the best people to be in that state? And it's The Republic by Plato. I mean, it's a bedrock of Western culture. So influential. It's one of those that I think that if you had to do a list of books that should be required reading, I would argue this should be one of them. It can be hard going at times. I've just recorded and completed the first video that I'm going to be doing on the Republic, and it's book 1, and it's based on a character who comes roughly about halfway through the first book, called Thrasymachus, and the idea of what is justice. And I won't spoil it, you'll need to see the video. But yes, this talks about community and what is the ideal community. And there's some brilliant things in here to make you think, especially the cave analogy and so on. Brilliant book. Discuss a communal reading experience that you have had. Okay. I'm an atheist who believes in God. That confuses people. I believe in God. I don't follow any one religion. And I love studying scripture. So already on this channel, I am starting and done a couple on the Bhagavad Gita episodes. I've done the Tao Te Ching. I will do others. Probably won't do this one, because I do another channel with a mate of mine who is a Christian pastor, non-denominational. And although I'm an atheist, I love scripture. I love studying the Bible, the Tanakh, which is the Old Testament, the Brittadishah, which is the New Testament. And we took a year and a bit just talking about the first 11 chapters of Genesis, and we were putting up episodes 2 a week and about an hour long. That's, anybody can listen to that. We started doing Mark's Gospel, and this has given me so much joy, and I'm so grateful that I have found my mate, because we served together in the Royal Navy, and then we lost contact with each other for more than 30 years. And then back in 2020, stumbled across him on Facebook. Lo and behold, found he also lives in New Zealand. So he is so well versed in this. And I have a degree, and he's got a degree as well in biblical studies. And I taught this subject in the UK, as well as philosophy and ethics. So this is something that really has given me joy. And I, again, would say this is something definitely worth reading. Not so much the King James Version, although it did influence English. Why would I say you should read the Bible? Well, not because you're necessarily religious or Christian, but because of the influence historically, as again, a bit like Homer, a bedrock of society, as well as Plato. So that's why I have been long interested in this. Why is it that 2 billion people look to this as being very important in their life? And because we live on a planet of so many people, that's why I personally like to study it. So the Bible. 7. Name a book in which a character demonstrates real gratitude, or name a book that left you feeling a sense of gratitude. This will be an unusual one because it's for both, for the character and for myself, though you wouldn't think so. Boethius, The Consolation of Philosophy. Boethius was around probably the 3rd and 4th, 6th century, and he was executed. He was very close and a close advisor to King Theodoric, or Theodoric if you want to use the Roman pronunciation. And the Roman Empire had effectively started to wane by then. It was becoming irrelevant. It had broken up into various kingdoms. Lombardy was about to be becoming a major power. And Boethius he had everything. But he was thrown into jail and eventually executed. He'd lost everything. And before he was executed, before he lost his life, he wrote this book. And it's how philosophy is embodied as a woman and comes to speak to him. And from that, out of the despair, he learns to be grateful and to look towards all the things that the mind can give him and so on. Brilliant book. Why am I grateful for it? Because I think I've said on another video somewhere, I went into the dark night of the soul for about a couple of years in around about 2014, 15, 16. And that was a hard period. It's not a depression, it's an ego death. And this, as I was reading it, as I was coming out of that difficult period, it really helped. And I found a lot of joy and gratitude in reading it. It helped me. It was a comfort. And I can look at this now, and it's a bit like some other books, which I won't mention here, that have done very similar, helped me reforge my life going forward, and what is more important. And I think, although it's not necessarily in the book, it's something along the lines of saying, imagine you are 80 years old, 90, let's say. You've had a full life, you're still compos mentis, and you're on your deathbed. You're about to shuffle off this mortal coil. You won't be thinking, if only I'd spent one more hour at work. You'll be thinking, in my case, have I been a good son, a good brother, a good husband, a good father, a good grandfather, probably by then a good great-grandfather? How will I be remembered? I won't be remembered for the houses I owned, or the cars I drove, or the clothes I wore. I will be remembered for how I made people feel. And he touches on some of those things. So there's I found a connection there, or certainly a read into what was being said in such a manner. And I think this is the benefit of this, and it's given me great gratitude and joy because of it. And I think that's it. 8. Tag others to spread a sense of joy and gratitude. I will. I don't know who I'm going to tag now. Because I'm late to this one, a lot of people who I would naturally go and tag, I think they've already done it. But I will look at some of the people I've just got in contact with. I don't know if they've done it themselves, and if they haven't, I'll tag them. So I won't know until I load this up. Philip, thank you for tagging me, and hopefully I've done it and yourself justice. So I've really enjoyed this one. And again, it's going to prompt it, or has now prompted me, since I've got the books to do this tag. I'm going to do some work with James A. Michener and Patrick O'Brien and Boethius. Great. So thank you for listening, everybody. And please, if you have got this far and you have not given a thumbs up, please do so. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment either way. Ta-ta for now.